Good afternoon. Welcome to Journey Today. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to air. On DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Agric Minister Brian Champon denies conflict of interest allegations in the SSNIT sale of hotel saga. We have details as he clashes with the North Tongue MP Okujeto Ablakwa, explaining all procedures in acquiring the hotels were followed.
And in this case, Sammy, I don't receive anything in terms of occupying any office to receive an incentive from Rock City.
Also this afternoon, teachers lament the impact of their Konsombo Dam spillage on teaching and learning as pupils whose families lost everything in the floods continue to skip school.
They are turned out at school. The learners, in fact, it's not encouraging. Some of them come today, tomorrow they will not come.
Plus, Ghana risks being dragged to the International Court of Justice as her High Commission in London owes over £5 million in congestion charges. We have details coming up shortly. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X Spaces at Joy News Zone TV. My personal handle is @Denana Aisha. Please do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Agric Minister Brian Champon has denied any conflict of interest in his hotel's purchase of SSNIT hotels from SSNIT. North Tongue MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate allegations of conflict of interest, abuse of power and procurement breaches in the sale of the 6 hotels. The hotels include Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Elmina Beach Resort, Ridge Royal Hotel, Buswa Beach Resort and Trust Lodge Hotel. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust has denied any foul play in its decision to sell a 60% stake in its hotels to Rock City Hotel, owned by the Food and Agric Minister, Dr. Brian Champon. Brian Champon himself says he must be treated differently from the hotel, adding all processes were followed.
Not been granted a certificate from the Speaker to engage in these business transactions. He remains the sole beneficial owner of Rock City and stands to directly benefit from these transactions. So there are constitutional issues that I have raised.
First of all, we have succeeded in pooling the data of all 275 members of Parliament who own shares in companies in Ghana. And they are way more than the 47 that you are talking about. I'm talking about those who have certificates. Because the issue is about it's not about beneficial owner or shareholder. Beneficial owner simply means shareholder. Owning shares in multimedia, Rock City, MTN, Unilever, FanMilk. If you own shares in this company, you don't go to Speaker for permission to own shares in this company. If you are a non-executive director of a company, you don't go to the Speaker to seek permission to be able to do that. In the case of Rock City, I am a shareholder, 100% shareholder, and I was shareholder of this company before I became minister. And in Ghana, those who know Rock City know that it belongs to Brian Champon. And I am not I'm not occupying an office for profit in Rock City, and I am not receiving a monument.
But you are the director.
But I am the director. I am the no.
From the incorporation articles
hold on.
You are the director.
If you go to hold on, be patient, please. If you go to Registrar General, the forms ask for 2 directors. I am one director and another person. But in the functional role that I will receive emoluments or occupy an office for profit in the organization, or my activities in the organization will prevent me from doing my work in Parliament or as a minister, does not come in. So being a director, as per Registrar General's documentation, and functioning as a non-executive director in the functional role are two different things. So, Sami, you don't, and I have all the list of the NDC MPs who own shares in companies but don't have certificate from the Speaker because of their roles in these organizations. So please, stand educated on that.
You heard the banter between North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablaka, who raised the red flag, and the Agric Minister, Brian Champong. I've been joined by Edem Senano, who is co-founder of the Citizen Movement Against Corruption. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Senano. You followed this developing story since it started yesterday. And before Tranche even commences investigation, SSNIT and Brian Champong himself are defending the sale. This morning, the Agric Minister says there is nothing like conflict of interest in the deal. Your thoughts?
Well, I disagree. There are several red flags that we need to pay attention to. First, what triggered the need to jettison the shares for interest? We are aware that Labadi Beach and Ridge are doing well. I don't know about the rest. If you say you want a strategic investor, why do it on an entity which is doing well? So that's a red flag. Now, beyond that, there are different ways of raising money for entities. One is wondering why they didn't go to the capital markets and then expand and say others come and buy shares. It will dilute your shares, but to raise the capital for the entity. And in that instance, SSNIT would still have shares, and as a business that is doing well, that money will be available to plow back into SSNIT's coffers and to pay to pensioners. So it doesn't make sense that some of these hotels are doing very well as investments, are bringing money to SSNIT, and then it's de-investing itself of its interest. Now, that issue of the due diligence, we expect that the transaction advisor, in trying to identify the strategic investor and doing the short list of those, would have paid attention to our constitutional provisions that say that if you're a public office holder, these things cannot happen without specific permissions having been sought. The argument being proffered by Brian that he's a director but not in a functional role is neither here nor there. Once your name reflects that as a director, and even if there are two, the assumption therefore is that you are accruing returns as the business does its work. Unless you intentionally, by explicitly writing, de-invest yourself and bring that to the notice of the Speaker and of the constitutionally mandated bodies, you cannot just come and explain away that you're a non-functional executive member. That will not satisfy the tenets of the law and the intentions of the law. So that is also another challenge. So there are several points at which there's a concern. Evidently, even in the procurement process, any Minister of State has much more access to information and therefore an undue advantage, potentially undue advantage. And that's where the conflict of interest begins. That the state is doing something, you are party to it, you have an advantage in comparison with those other persons. And so to that extent, ideally, you should not put yourself even in a position of potential conflict of interest. That's what the Constitution says.
What are your expectations with how things are unfolding, especially as TUC has also waded into this fight?
I expect that Tranche will go to the beginning and establish. Was there even a need to say that SSNIT is going to take itself or de-invest its interest or shares? Was that even necessary in the first place? Out of these 6 companies, all of them or some of them, then we should look at the process. Even though on paper it seems as if it went well, the question in my mind is, how was the shortlisting done for the companies? What were the criteria? What was the thinking behind who gets to pass through? The 6 out of the 9. What disqualified the 3? And what qualified the 6? What kind of investigation and due diligence was done to ensure that you don't have companies and individuals like what we are finding in the shortlist? Couldn't they have raised monies by any other means that would have been more appropriate? And in my view, there are other means that would still have allowed me to have its shares and yet raise the capital for the hotels that may not have been doing well. So there has to be a thorough investigation feed it back into the space. I think that everything should be suspended for now, and let's see what the investigations throw out eventually.
Adam Senano, I'm grateful for your time. He's co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Now, Ghana's High Commission in London owes city authorities over £5 million in congestion charges. The congestion charge is a road toll that is paid by diplomats who drive through a certain square mile of the City of London. Despite communication from the UK government, the congestion charge is a service fee and not a tax. Several embassies in London continue to amass significant debts totaling millions of pounds. Leading the list is the American Embassy with an outstanding debt of £14.6 million, followed by the embassies of Japan and India, owing £10.1 million and £8.6 million, respectively. And on your screens there is the chart, which is explaining who owes what. And there you have it. The American government is the first, last by Germany. Ghana is there in the middle, and it owes about, yes, it's there with those figures over there. Well, international relations expert Dr. Ishmael Hlovo says Ghana should not be afraid of being dragged to the Court of Justice, adding it only gives her the opportunity to voice her concerns.
There is no cause for worry because Ghana-UK relations are quite stable and strong. And of course, disagreements are normal part of diplomatic relations. So they may want to put certain pressures on you to pay. But at the end of the day, they themselves have taken the option of going to the international court. So that is even better, so that when they get there, the issue can be resolved peacefully. So I don't think that there is any implication for our relation with the UK. Countries will always have disagreement as to some of these issues, and they will have to settle it either diplomatically or through the international institutions as we have them. So you don't get worried because they threaten to go to the international court. What it means is that then you have the chance to present your case as to why you think it is not a service charge, that it is a tax. And in this case, they are not going to send Ghana alone to the court. They are going to send all these other countries, and then the court will have to determine if this is a service charge that diplomats are supposed to pay, or it falls under the tax exemptions that the various countries grant diplomats under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations.
Close to a year after the spillage of the Akosombo Dam devastated several communities in the Volta and other regions, the impact is still being felt, especially on education. Some pupils whose families lost everything in the floods continue to skip school after losing their learning materials. This came to light when the Presbyterian Church donated teaching and learning materials to some schools in the affected enclave.
Education remains perhaps one of the most affected sectors following the spillage of the Akosombo Dam close to a year ago. Schools are still trying to get back on their feet fully, and pupils are struggling to integrate. Some teachers in Mepe in the Volta region share the problems they face together with their students.
They lost their uniforms, their exercise books, their school bags, and a whole lot. And the community members, their homes were taken from them, and we, the teachers too, we lost most of our things, and it hasn't been easy. And coming back is like starting all over, because the learners have to get new exercise books, and it became difficult to teach because when you come to the class, they will tell you, "Madam, our exercise books are gone, our pens, our bags." So it was difficult, just a few. So we are grateful for the books we've gotten and other things we had right now.
Number one is their turnout at school, the learners. In fact, it's not encouraging. Some of them come today, tomorrow they will not come. And it's very hard or difficult when you are teaching a learner who comes to school today, tomorrow, he or she may not come, which is very bad. The learner may not be able to catch up with whatever you are doing. So as a teacher, I feel very bad in terms of that.
The Presbyterian Church of Ghana has been trying to fill the gap by donating teaching and learning materials to some schools in the Volta region. Rebecca Saba is National Director for Development and Social Services for the church.
For us, we believe that it's not just relief, but also reconstruction, resettlement, getting the people to get back to where they used to be. So you don't just come and give them something when the flood happens and leave them on their own. Because even when they come back to their communities, things have changed. What we realized was that some of the school children, when the flood came, the flood took away their school uniforms. The flood took their books away. So they couldn't come to school. After the flood had gone down and they came, they couldn't come to school. They had to wear normal dress to school. And we think that doesn't help boost the morale of the children to learn. And so as Presbyterians, we decided to come and help them, those who could not find their uniforms, to get school uniforms so that they'll be more willing to learn.
General Manager of Presby Schools, Daniel Yabuahino, says there must be a safe and congenial environment for students to learn.
If children has a challenge with their dresses, and aside because of those challenges, coming to school is a border, then why don't you make sure that we'll prepare all of them in such a way that at least they will enjoy quality education in our schools, because that is what Presbyterian Church of Ghana stands for.
Meanwhile, the Mepe District Minister of the Presbyterian Church, Reverend Michael Kwame Domite, explains the communities are yet to fully recover despite support given by the church.
Most of them, their building collapsed. And then those who are also using blocks, they also need to go and renovate the rooms, clean them, and then repaint them. So they went through a lot. But through the intervention of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, the 1,100 given to them, some use it to renovate the rooms, and they are staying.
What is obvious from Mepe and other communities affected by the spillage is that more help is needed to bring back these people to the lives they used to live prior to the devastating floods.
Recent investigations by the Office of the Special Prosecutor has come under intense criticism, with the former MP for Kumbungo citing inaccuracies. The OSP and the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department's joint investigation revealed that over 2.8 million cedis had been paid to ghost workers in a fictitious primary school at Kumbungo district in the northern region. But contrary to that claim, Kumbungo DA Primary, that the primary is non-existent, locals, including a resident former Member of Parliament Ras Mubarak, says that school has been operational for decades.
Now, the DA primary school has been in existence, if I'm not mistaken, for over 3 decades, and I was very, very shocked to have heard on the radio last night that the special prosecutor had flagged the DA primary school as one of those that is non-existent. Now, interestingly, this morning, the Office of the Special Prosecutor contacted me when I raised this issue on social media, and their explanation is that indeed it is not a Kumbungu DA primary school they were referring to, which is a school that has been in existence for several decades, but a different school, whose name has been cloned, and they explained to me that for the purposes of the investigations and in order not to hamper the investigations, they would not want to put out the name of the particular institution they were referring to. I think, as far as I'm concerned, for the benefit of the public, and in order to allay the fear and the worry and the agitation, and the anxiety that has greeted, people from Kumbungu, it would just be fair that along the line, the OSP will put out the name of this particular institution that somebody had, falsely claimed salaries that were not earned from.
You heard Ras Mubarak, former MP for Kumbungo. Now, NDC flag bearer John Mahama is calling on government to remove some of the taxes on LPG to enable a reduction in the prices of the commodity. The former president, who was speaking at an engagement with players in the downstream petroleum sector, also indicated the nation needs to produce more gas to power the thermal plants which generates the country's electricity.
We've talked about LPG consumption, and there's a great concern today. I was reading a new collaboration that is beginning to take place between the African Development Bank and some partners to reduce the use of fuel wood in Africa. And the natural way to go is using LPG, or they also have some solar alternatives. But if you remember, as far back as the PNDC days, clean cook stoves and all that, promotion of LPG, it's switched a lot of people. At that time, wanted to move them from kerosene, to gas. And a lot of people, went with it. Unfortunately, like he said, the consumption of fuel wood is going up and consumption of LPG is going down because of cost. And I also believe in my heart that really we should be reducing the taxes on LPG rather than increasing the taxes on LPG. To encourage our people to consume more of the LPG than to use the other alternatives, which are charcoal and others. We need to produce more gas, not only for LPG, but also for electricity production, for natural gas to fire our thermal plants.
The petroleum sector players bemoan the increasing cost of doing business in the country and propose steps they believe will revive the sector, should he consider them in case he wins the December elections. Listen to Executive Director for ASEP, Ben Boache.
So the composite burden on the citizens, if you add taxes to it, you're looking at about 12 billion a year. The sad part is that even the taxes that we are collecting, they are not going into development. We are taxing the people to address problems that we are, creating all the time. EXLA was created to write off, the past debt. Now it cannot even pay coupons, right? We set up the Delta, which was also supposed to be applied to some of the debt. It also cannot do anything. And we keep creating more levies and charges on the same product that is supposed to run the economy. And I think it gets pretty frustrating that we need to address that. If it was genuine tax revenue that is going to development, you can then align it, even if you want to do railway infrastructure, to be able to lessen the burden of the people. You know that you are taxing them for development. But we are taxing the people for such waste. And I think we need to critically look at it and address it.
The Boundaries Commission of Ghana and Burkina Faso have signed a draft framework agreement on cross-border cooperation that will see the two countries collaborate to help with much-needed development for border communities. Speaking after a 3-day joint technical meeting between the two countries, which discussed various boundary-related issues, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said it was an important development for the two boundary institutions. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Many border communities in Ghana and Burkina Faso lack much needed social amenities such as hospitals, schools, potable drinking water, and many others. Some security analysts argue that terrorists can exploit some of these vulnerabilities to infiltrate countries. The African Union Framework on Cross-Border Cooperation seeks to, amongst others, promote good neighborliness between countries. Speaking after a joint technical meeting between Ghana and Burkina Faso, Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, said the framework will help the two countries identify the needs of border communities and make provisions for them.
Some of this has to do with social intervention that is based on human security interventions, like assisting those people, those communities to construct schools, rehabilitation of hospitals, clinics, and then supply of water and what have you. Basically, it's human needs activities. But then For cross-border, we will pick communities on both sides, see their common needs, and then we will be able to assist them. Another thing that is associated with this is a sensitization, continuous sensitization. There are quite a number of border communities who really do not understand what the boundary pillars are.
He also stated the two countries will seek funding from development partners to fund the project.
The cross-border cooperation is one conduit in which the two boundary commissions will work together. They will do a research and identify some deprived communities, and then they will prescribe what should be done in those communities jointly, whether it's in Ghana or a neighboring country. Now, once that is identified, we will then seek for funding, normally from development partners, sometimes even from our own governments. We should be able to do so. You realize that as part of the framework, funding is one of the key issues. So how do we get funding for this? Either a joint effort between the two boundary commissions looking for funds, or individually seeking funds from our own governments to be able to conduct. In Ghana, we've done so well so far as these community projects are concerned. One, we have a community in where we call Leklebi Kame, and we've got ECOWAS funding, where we have rehabilitated a health clinic. Again, the Ghana government provided us support to start the road construction in the Dollar Power and Sapelga, where we have been able to open up access routes to those border communities. In addition, these routes are serving as a link for regular inspection of our international boundaries. So these are some of the efforts that we've also collaborated with the Minister of National Security to drill boreholes to certain deprived communities along the border communities.
The head of the Burkina Faso Boundary Commission, Salamata Dabal, expressed excitement about the signing of the draft document. She's optimistic it will open new doors of opportunities for border communities. Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Boniface Gambila Adagbila, urged the two countries to continue on the good path of cooperation.
We are really bound together. Nobody can break our bond. My sister across the boundary, my brothers across the boundary can never say they are not my brothers and sisters. There's no way.
The youth of the Birifo tribe in the Gonja land are urging government to intervene immediately to prevent a potential conflict in the Sola-Tuna Kalba district of the District Security Council has meanwhile confirmed to Joy News there is tension in the area and is working around the clock to prevent a full conflict.
At a news conference in Accra, youth of Birifo tribe who claim that despite one of 6 tribes within the Kon traditional area, they are the only group subjected to levies whenever the chief decides to raise revenue for a project or event.
The Kongura, Jonkrege the First, has systematically been subjecting the Birifo people in the traditional area to inhumane treatment, including exploitation, extortion, and physical attacks on them. In short, the Kongura has been treating the Birifo people as though they are a second-rated human beings. And this must be repudiated by all well-meaning people, since these acts are not only obsolete and barbaric, but also have the highest risk of provoking open communal hostilities.
In the most recent case, the Birifo people report being asked to pay between 1,000 Ghana cedis and 2,000 Ghana cedis per household. They claim this levy is not imposed on the other tribes in the area, highlighting a pattern of discrimination and financial burden placed solely on them.
The tension heightened when the Kongura imposed a levy of an amount of between 1,000 Ghana cedis and 2,000 Ghana cedis on the Birifo households, ostensibly for work on a traditional area's constitution. As tension was mounting, the BYA stepped in and presented a petition to that effect to the District Security Council of the Sola-Tuna Kalba district for redress. No response has since been received from the DISEC yet.
I've been joined by MP for the area, Andrew Dari Chiwati. Grateful for your time, sir. Has this come to your notice?
Yeah, good afternoon, Madam. Good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Certainly, it has come to my notice, and so I am in the constituency because of this particular issue.
What's the plan? What do you intend to do to broker peace between these two?
Well, the Brifo people have lived with the Gunjas since time immemorial. We certainly need to live together to have development in the area. And I'm sure the chiefs are aware that we can only develop if we have peace. And so we started the process. Yesterday, I had to rush home to join the DISEC for us to visit the Kongura. We had a fruitful discussion with the Kongura. He gave us DISEC the assurance that he was going to talk to his youth. And he also needed DISEC to talk to Brifo Youth Association to see how we can broker peace and ensure that we continue to live peacefully as they have lived with our grandparents till date.
And the two sides, are they cooperating?
I would say yes. Like I mentioned, yesterday around 5 to 6 p.m., we were in the chief palace. And he finally agreed with us that we all need peace to live. We all need peace to have development. We don't need the tensions, and especially war. This is not a time for us to be calling for war. We need to have our children educated. We need to have water for our people. We need to have food for our people. These are the necessities of the people of Polatona Calabar, especially those in the Kon traditional area. Because the communities under the traditional area, they are all farming communities. They do that to take care of their children in their school, to take care of their children when they are sick. And so there will not be a single person that will not be willing to accept peace. And so for me, I think what we have started, if we have the understanding that we need to come together, I don't see the difficulty. Like I said, we have met the Kongura. DISEC has also invited the Brifo Youth Association leadership to a meeting. And I know the Brifo Youth Association will be willing to attend the meeting. And once they come, the DISEC will listen to them. And then we'll see how we share ideas to bring an everlasting peace to the area.
This is something we'll be monitoring and bring our viewers updates. I'm grateful for your time. Andrew Dari Chiwati is MP for that area. Let's take a break on Joy News today. When we return, there's the very latest coming from the world of business.
It's on.
Hello, welcome. I am Emma Davis. Let's do some business stories. In order to advance digital literacy and enhance information and communication technology skills among its civil servants, youth, micro and small and medium enterprises, the government of Grenada has signed a memorandum of understanding with Suku Technologies, a full-service IT solutions firm based in Ghana. There's more in this report.
The MOU establishes a framework for collaboration between the government of Grenada and Suku Technologies. The parties intend to develop a letter of intent that would bind the parties to terms for a mutually beneficial business relationship. The CEO of Suku Technologies, Chunam Akbelu, highlighted the significance of this partnership in advancing the operations into the Caribbean market.
As a Ghanaian company who is desirous of expanding to other parts of the world, we've had the opportunity last 2 years to explore the Caribbean market, and we went to Grenada among different other islands, and we realized a huge potential in providing technology services. And so we started the conversation with the government for the purposes of establishing not only our company, but initiatives that will directly benefit the people of Grenada. And so we're very excited that finally the government of Grenada is happy to formally have a relationship with us for the purpose of discussing different initiatives and agreements in favor of technology for the people of Grenada. And we're very excited as a Ghanaian company to really go and explore other markets, especially the Caribbean markets. There has been a strong historical relations between Africa and the Caribbean. There's a strong belief that the Caribbean is the sixth region of Africa. Some of the services and products that we are interested in discussing to provide in the Caribbean market includes the payment systems, and because we see that the payment environment in Africa is really growing, and so we want to be able to send payment systems there, e-commerce services, digital literacy services, and also providing our software solutions.
The MOU was signed by the Prime Minister of Grenada, Dixon Michel, on behalf of the Grenadian government, and it represents a pivotal step towards realizing a vision of a digitally inclusive Grenada.
Pro Vice-Chancellor at the University of Ghana, Professor Gordon Awandere, is making a strong case to adopt workable policies and research-based approaches to bridge the current gap between industry and academia. According to him, this strategy will aid students who go out of the university better appreciate the rudiments of the job market as well as the practicalities of the course of study. He spoke to Joy Business at the Achieving Show for Entrepreneurs.
The event, organized by Bright and Millicent Adoboy, was to give back to the School of Physical and Mathematical Science at the University of Ghana. Professor Wandari underscored the need to enhance students' understanding with invaluable insight and practical experience related to their field of study.
In the current economic situation, and basically, this is something that's going to be, it's going to take a while for us to industrialize into enough that there will be sufficient jobs for everyone. So that's why entrepreneurship is so important. So as a university, we're trying to empower our students to have that option of going into entrepreneurship, which not only creates employment for themselves, but it also creates employment for others. So it amplifies the effect. So this is something that we have now made integral to our training in the university.
Co-founder for Achiever Foods, Millicent Adoboy, urged young entrepreneurs to be resilient.
This whole initiative is an impact initiative of Achiever Foods Limited, the Agric business that my husband and I co-manages. We started all this because a few years back, after my university education as a food scientist, I struggled to get a job. I had to sell by the streets in Medina, by the gutters to make a living. Along the line, I took ill and almost died due to iron deficiency, anemia. And after I recovered, I was challenged to see what I can do with the ideas that I have. I told myself, if I'm not getting the job, that I need to create one. And this is the charge I want to give to every young person, woman, youth listening to me. If you are not getting a job, you need to create one because there is a job in you.
The event was under the theme, Empowering the Next Gen Entrepreneurs.
That'll be all for the business segment. I am Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Please stay with JN Today. It continues.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sports here on JN Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Head coach of Ghana's Black Stars, Laye Kingston, says his boys will not be complacent in their second group game in the ongoing Wafu B Under-17 Cup of Nations being hosted by Ghana. Ghana opened its campaign with a 5-1 win over Côte d'Ivoire, and they will come up against Benin later today. Laye Kingston says they will approach the game with everything within them to be able to secure a win.
We are very ready. The boys, for me, I think after the win against Agric Minister, they were excited. We celebrated for just a day. After that, our focus was on Benin throughout. We had a day off after recovery for them to look fresh for subsequent days. We train match day -2, we train match day -1, and then I think we are ready for tomorrow. It's going to be very tough. We have respect for every opponent that they put in front of us. We managed to see their game against their opponents. We've seen how we're going to approach the game. For me, I think they like going long, so we have to deal with the long balls. Line, keeping the line straight and dropping well to defend our box. So for me, we have a game plan, and hopefully it works against them. Complacent, I don't think it's in the dictionary. For us, we have respect for every team. Like I said earlier on, the boys want to keep 100% record, so they approach every game with all seriousness. The Benin game will not be anything different from other games that we've played. We're keeping 100% record. We're going to start the game well, and then whatever happens, we deal with it. I know it's going to be difficult. When we get it right for the first time, for the first half, first minute, I think it's good. If we have challenges, we'll manage to fight till we gain control. So for me, I think it's going to be difficult. We're taking it a game at a time. Every coach is off our way. We're waiting for the Ghanaians tomorrow. We want Ghanaians to be very football. Yes, I wasn't happy because we did not dominate throughout. Our style is to dominate every opponent, squeeze them, close down spaces when we don't have the ball. Against Ivory Coast, I don't see that. And also, I always see our boys implementing our DNA.
To athletics now, and President of Ghana Athletics, Bao Husseini, has suggested to Deborah Aqua to find a way of treating her injury that she's had the last 2 or 3 years. Deborah, in an interview with Joy Sports, mentioned that she was denied financial support by Ghana Athletics and the Ministry of Youth and Sport because she got injured in school. And according to her, the President of Ghana Athletics had mentioned to her that the injury by virtue of being suffered in school was not going to get support from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Bao Husseini says it is important she finds a way of treating herself.
If I were her, as an athlete, as a former athlete, the money that I got from there, even though the injury was outside the national competition, I would have made a formal complaint to the association in writing that this is what I'm facing. Please, how can you help me? Then the National Federation would have also forwarded the same thing to the ministry. But we all knew that athletes get injured outside competition or outside national competition. They find ways of treating themselves. Sometimes if they come to us, we support them to treat themselves. But if she gets injured within the national program, within the national competition, then it is the responsibility of the state to take care of it. I'm not saying that if we have authority or we have resources, we will not have supported her. We would have supported her. But here's the case that the injury was there before the UG.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. We appreciate your time.
Good afternoon, you're welcome to the show. This segment with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yabwa. Now, Ghanaian rapper Sarkodie dropped his latest track Brag on Friday, May 10th, igniting a wildfire of reactions across social media. Well, he's out to clarify some of the meanings that were generated out of the song. According to rapper Sarkodie, his Brag song was not to throw jabs at Wizkid, Davido, and Burna Boy.
When Sarkodie released Brag, he probably didn't expect it to see the internet ablaze quite like this. The song has sparked debates and even beefs among rappers in Ghana and Nigeria. All all over perceived jabs at some of Africa's biggest music stars, including Wizkid, Davido, and Burna Boy.
Wizkid came, I was already doing it. Davido started when I was improving it. And then Odogu came through, Black Sherif to Ashake, I'm still going. When you thought I was losing it, my biggest competition is Kendrick and Cole.
In an interview with Vox Africa, Sarkodie set the record straight, explaining that his song was never meant to belittle these Nigerian heavyweights.
This is great PR. You can't even pay for this. You know, Wiz, David, and Burna would never think I want to jab them, because if I want to jab somebody, it has to be rappers. They are not rappers. Exactly what you said. I'm just talking to rappers about how long I've been there and who else is best to use as reference. Let's say you're talking to the world. These are the best people to know that everybody knows Wizkid, everybody knows Burna Boy, everybody knows Black Sherif, Ashake, Davido. So, and it's very true. I was there. Wiz came in, David came in, Burna Boy came in, Ashake, Black Sherif. It's just references of how long I've been there. It's not throwing jab at anybody. These are incredible, amazing artists. Black Sherif is my boy. Do you think I would jab Black Sherif? No.
The song's explosive reception shows just how deeply fans dissect their favorite artists' words, often reading between the lines for hidden meanings. However, Sarkodie insists that Bragg is all about celebrating his own milestones and not a diss track in disguise.
But to be very honest, I wouldn't like to even clear this because I like the energy that's going, you know. It's not true, but you're loving it, you know, and there's a lot of trends. I'm super proud that there's energy out there, especially as far as hip-hop is concerned, which has not been the conversation in a while. So yes, I'm super proud, but definitely I'm not jabbing anybody. You know, if I'm jabbing anybody, it has to be rappers, and I don't care about that. That I can go all out. And even the biggest jab would be that the fact that I didn't mention any rapper because nobody's as consistent and famous as these singers. So that's why.
With Bragg already causing waves, anticipation for the championship EP is reaching a fever pitch. As the countdown to May 24 continues, fans are left to wonder what other lyrical surprises Sarkodie has in store.
In a world where record-breaking attempts have become the new norm, climate reporter Awal Hakim is branching out with a daring new feat, hugging a tree for 48 hours. Now, the previous record was set earlier this year by a Ugandan woman, which stands at 16 hours and 6 seconds. But Hakim is determined to leave his mark in the Guinness World Record book and raise awareness about climate change.
Awal Hakim has revealed that out of all the daring challenges out there, hugging a tree for 2 full days is the one he's chosen to undertake.
Longest time to hug a tree.
Longest time to hug a tree. Are you sure you're up for it?
Yeah, we've planned this thing for more than 5 months now. So we are ready for it. And
you've actually hugged the tree for 48 hours. I believe 48 hours, right?
Yeah.
And during your practical time, have you hugged the tree for 48 hours?
Yeah, I've hugged it for 24 hours and then some 6 hours. So I think with the rehearsals, I felt like I did it for 30 minutes. So I think I'm ready for it.
This marathon hug set to kick off on May 22 in Kumasi is not just about setting a new record, it's about sending a powerful message on climate action. Hakim believes that by drawing attention to this symbolic gesture, he can inspire others to take concrete steps towards combating climate change.
I would say this is not just a tree hug. It is to create awareness of the importance of tree in human life, the invaluable importance of tree in human life, because the entire human race depends on tree. The tree gives us food, it gives us shelter, it gives us shade, and then even when you go to some places in Ghana, the tree serves as schools. So rampant cutting down of tree without replacing them is becoming unbecoming in the country, cutting the trees down for galamsey activities and other stuff. So this is just to create awareness on the importance of tree on human life and the importance of tree in climate exchange.
Ghanaian record enthusiasts have often fallen short of Guinness World Record glory due to not adhering to stringent rules and guidelines. However, Hakim is confident he's got all bases covered.
Guinness World Record sent me a record guideline, about 5 pages. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. So since I'm ready for it, I spent over 2 weeks reading the guidelines alone, and I'm also planning to read it with my witnesses and then my timekeepers to make sure that we don't get anything wrong, because I've really spent time on this, and I don't want to cause any loss of productivity. For more than 6 months, I've been planning for this, and then I don't want any kind of anything. So I'm ready for it, and then.
Well, on that note, it's a wrap for the showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Suma Yabwa.
Jackie, this one day you must do some more.
A standing. I think it has is a 2-in-1. It's like a standing marathon and also like hugging a tree.
Thanks for bringing us showbiz. That'll be it for the bulletin. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 2.